Welcome to the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast, where we don't take from insurance companies. Here are your hosts, Mr. Jordan Comstock and Mr. Ben Tuine.
Welcome to another episode of our Say No to PPOs podcast series. This is the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast. My name is Ben Tuine. We got Jordan Comstock. Jordan, what's up, man?
Yo, Ben. Just sitting here at my desk.
I feel like you and I have never, for the last month, we haven't been on the podcast together.
I know it's been either you or me.
It's kind of annoying, but we'll make it work.
We get busy, dude. It works though. It works. So long time no here.
Long time no here. well, folks. Due to time, we only have a limited amount of time with our guest today, and we just want to get right into it, folks. We have David Harris on the call with us, and David is the Chief Executive Officer of Prosperident. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I tease him about him doing the Lord's work in dentistry embezzlement. He's a dentistry embezzlement expert, and he has a very fascinating background. We're posting his bio to the show notes, but we want to get right into the embezzlement thing and David's background. David, how did you get involved with this?
Totally by accident. I had no business plan whatsoever. It was 1989, and I got a call from a guy I'd been in high school with who is now a dentist, and he had some suspicions about his practice, and he really had nobody else to call. I had an investigative background. I'd been in some trouble with the law myself in my teens.
Nice.
And nice. Thank you.
Jordan, don't encourage that. I apologize to the listeners for that.
I don't encourage that, but it just felt right to do.
Yeah, well... Anyway, I had been on both sides of this problem, and he called me and said, "Can you come have a look at my practice?" And I did, and we found the thief and what she was doing, and got her fired. And I totally forgot about it until 2 weeks later. And 2 weeks later, I was going to my own dentist's office for an appointment. And I realized that the same woman who we'd fired at the other office 2 weeks ago was now sitting at his front desk.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
That's
No way.
That's a slightly more printable version of what went through my mind, yes.
How do you do that? I mean, do you just fudge your resume, and on the resume you put that you were employed by somebody, and the phone number you put is your brother's phone number, and they...
Yeah.
Is that what they do?
Sure, it's that. I'm sure it's easy.
If you want to make any dentist squirm, ask them if they enjoy hiring staff.
Yeah,
they all hate it. And when somebody comes along with experience, because none of them want to train staff from scratch, somebody comes along with experience, says the right things, has a good resume, is well presented, they just grab them.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And that's how mistakes are made. And thieves know that dentists are not skeptical in their hiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting.
A couple of statistics you should have. One is that 65 million adults, so 1 in 4 American adults has a criminal record.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
60% of resumes have some level of false information.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I can believe that one.
So hiring is a huge minefield, and they don't want to do it. And that's where the mistakes get made.
I'm writing this down. 1 in 4 have a criminal record. So that means in my household, me, my son, so my father-in-law so he's a criminal in our household.
It's your father-in-law, yeah, father-in-law. So it's always the in-laws, Ben.
Yeah. So David, how do you address this? I mean, when you're going through the hiring process, I know for a fact that not many dental offices run names and social security numbers through a criminal database, or do they, or should they?
Well, let's step back even from that to more basic. I spoke last week to an audience of about 60 people, and I said to them, all right, I want you to think back to the last person you hired, whether they were clinical, administrative, whatever, it doesn't matter, just the last person. How many of you checked their photo identification? One hand went up.
Wow.
And I said, all right, let's put this in context. Your dental office is a pretty important place in your life. It's where you make your money. It's full of confidential information. a lot of money goes through there, and also you have the ability to prescribe controlled substances. And with all that, you have no sweet clue as to the true identity of the last person you hired.
Right.
So that is not a substitute for doing a proper workup on somebody at all. But even that basic step, most of them don't do, because somebody shows up and says, "Hi, I'm Susie Smith," and their response is to say, "Okay, hi, Susie."
Yeah, Susie, you're hired.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is
So
kind of interesting.
start there. To me, the criminal records check part, which when dentists talk about, quote, background checking, that's what they're talking about. That's a subset of background checking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The full workup, the absolute most important thing is to speak to former employers. And my rule is simple. I want to talk to all former employers for the last 5 years, bearing in mind that some applicants don't want you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So they will play with the dates they worked for different employers. They will give you phone numbers that are really their uncle. They will they will claim that they were out of the workforce, like I was traveling through Europe for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Or they will say, "Please don't contact my current employer because she doesn't know I'm leaving."
Oh.
Yeah.
Which might be true, or it might be that they were fired 3 weeks ago, and this is their way of preventing you from having a conversation with somebody who they know is not going to say good things about them.
Right.
I've done that once. I tried hiring somebody, and they didn't tell me not to contact their employer, and they were still working there, and then they found out that they were looking at jobs.
Well, that's a whole other problem. But
yeah.
When most dentists are faced with that, their response is to say, "Okay, I understand that."
Yeah.
My response would be to say, "I understand that, but I also want to let you know that we do not hire anybody without speaking with their current employer." Now, in the position you're in, that doesn't have to be right now, but we will have to have that conversation before we can make a final hiring decision.
Yeah.
And if somebody's playing you and they've been fired 3 weeks ago, that will end their quest for a job with you as soon as you say that, because they know they're not going to get hired.
Wow. So what happened to that person at your dental practice, the one that you go to regularly, and you saw that lady there that was fired at the other practice? Want to know what happened there?
What happened? I wasn't quite in the office when I noticed this. I had my hand on the door, and I looked through the glass, and I saw her sitting there. So I sprinted to the nearest payphone, because in 1989, cell phones were like briefcase size.
And a little bricks.
And you didn't have one of those.
No, I didn't. I did. I didn't have it with me.
Oh, was it in your back pocket?
No, what I happened to have was some quarters. So I phoned the office. I used a pretext to get through to the doctor, because I knew I had to get through the gatekeeper. So I just took the name of a local orthodontist, and I got put right through. And got the doctor on the phone and said, it's not Dr. Jensen, it's David Harris calling. I'm the guy who's supposed to be in your chair right now. But let me tell you why I'm not. And I told him about the time bomb ticking away at his front desk, and he asked me in this panicked voice, "What the hell do I do now?"
Oh, man.
And about 2 sentences later, he'd hired me. And that's how I got started.
Wow.
Very cool.
What were you doing at the time, if you don't mind me asking?
I was doing nothing. I had been working for a bank doing investigations. I'd left my job. I was sitting home watching TV when the phone rang from my former high school friend. And yeah, I wasn't doing anything. And by the time I got through working through for the second dentist, a couple of his friends had called me, and 30 plus years later, I'm still here.
Crazy.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy. I know a lot of people that are either in law enforcement of some capacity, whether as a detective, private investigator, attorney, or works for an attorney that does fraud investigations. And I hear that it's really like a sixth sense, if you will, that fraud investigators, really, it's kind of in their nature. I mean, is that true for...
It absolutely is. There are formal qualifications that you can get in fraud investigation, and I have 2 of them. And they're good, but when somebody receives one of those designations, really what it means is they can pass some exams.
Yeah.
when we hire people, we like to have those qualifications, but they're not essential. What is essential is the ability for the applicant to think like a criminal. And we test that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess you have well, this is a stupid question. Do they need to have like a little bit of a criminal background to qualify?
I'm pretty choosy. I mean, we could hire people walking out of a federal pen somewhere and find that criminal thought process in spades. No, what I want are honest people who could have been criminals and chose not to be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there's a mindset there. I mean, one of my team who is, I will say with all objectivity, the best investigator I've ever seen, has this instinct like you wouldn't believe. And he can kind of stand there in the shoes of an embezzler and say, if I were in this situation, this is how I would steal. And he's almost spooky with it, and it makes him it makes him an unbelievably good investigator.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. How common is embezzlement in dentistry? Is it a pretty common issue?
It is. We don't really know, and there are some measurement issues. The first is that there's some amount of embezzlement that happens and nobody ever finds it.
Yeah.
There's also some that takes place and the doctor discovers it and just quietly fires the person and doesn't disclose to anybody that there was embezzlement. So that stuff all stays out of the statistics. From what we do know, there's at least a 60% chance that somebody will be embezzled in their career.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
And so the real number's higher. We just don't know by how much.
I have a couple of clients, well, actually a few clients, but the two that come to mind, interesting stories. One of them used to practice in Colorado, started noticing things being off in terms of the bank deposits, numbers that they produced and what was collected. It just seemed off, and he felt suspicious. So he quietly hired a forensic accountant to come in and to perform audits on the books. The office manager found out that this was going on, and shortly after, I think it was a few days after she had knowledge that this was going on, she filed a police report for sexual harassment against the owner dentist.
Oh boy!
Now the owner dentist is, I mean,
ridiculous.
He's a good-looking man, but his wife is she could be found on the cover of any magazine. She is just very, very gorgeous. The office manager, on the other hand, I mean, anybody, you look at her, it's like, this guy wouldn't be that stupid. He's smart and intelligent.
Yeah, you're applying a thought process that the legal system doesn't share, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what happened, long story short, he loses his dental license, gets slapped with some criminal charges for sexual harassment and overbilling. Gets in trouble with a few insurance carriers for upcoding. Essentially, what the office manager was doing was taking 2 surface composites and billing them as 3 or 4 surface composites, things that don't need to be accompanied with a narrative. And she was pocketing the difference of the income.
Yeah.
So he loses his license. She goes on and ends up working for another office in Arizona. So this guy goes to Arizona. It keeps appealing this case over and over and over again. And then 5 years later, that same office manager gets arrested for embezzlement because the next guy was a lot more careful. Didn't know her history. Didn't know that she had put this guy.
He understood his books or something.
Yeah, he was a lot more in tune with his numbers. So when he started to see things, he immediately hired a fraud investigator. She was slapped with a felony, and so this guy's still trying to appeal his convictions. It's like, I told you guys that I was innocent. Wow. Well, this also happened to another friend of mine that practiced up in Michigan. Same exact story. He started investigating things, and then he was cops come in and say, you're being accused of sexual harassment, and here's the evidence and all that. The staff members colluded because they were all sharing the income. The office manager came in and started to pay them off. At least that's how I saw it.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, do you see stuff like that go on from time to time, David?
I do, and a couple of things come out of this. First of all, when something happens like what you're talking about, that case was mishandled.
Yeah,
I believe so too. I agree 100%.
And unfortunately, sometimes people turn to the wrong sources for this kind of help. I mean, we see some people who are absolute rank amateurs investigating embezzlement, and when that happens, sometimes parts of it get away from them, and you get results like the one you're talking about. This is not a situation for well-intentioned dabblers. It just isn't. There's too much at stake, and it has to be done correctly. And unfortunately, I hear way too many stories like that one.
Yeah,
that's too bad.
I just got a text message last Thursday from a friend of he's in the life insurance industry, and his dentist client texts him and says, "I'm being investigated for sexual harassment." Completely bogus. And then I asked him to ask her, "Are you doing any type of audit on your practice in terms of embezzlement?" And she said, "Actually, I am."
Oh boy!
So it's like there's this underground criminal world of people that are trying to cheat dentists out of embezzle from them. It seems to me that they have like an annual black site meeting out in Vegas, but I hear it way.
There is some online chatter, and we sort of try to listen to it.
Oh, really? I was right. I always thought that there was some type of education going on how to embezzle.
Yeah, there is.
Wow.
So for an office like that, they're early in the stages. Now they're being accused of sexual harassment, and they're in the process of auditing their books. What do they do? What should they do next?
Yeah, what are some tips?
They've already made the cardinal mistake because they let the cat out of the bag.
Too late then?
Right. This accusation of sexual harassment didn't come out of the blue.
Right.
It came because somebody was stealing, and they thought they were going to get caught, probably because the doctor tipped his hand as to what he was thinking. And their logic is, I will give him a much bigger problem than embezzlement, and I will put his license in jeopardy and everything else. For your listeners, if you suspect embezzlement, you need to get professional help, get it quickly, and whatever else you do, not let the suspect know that they're a suspect.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they realize that, they will do something desperate. There's a time when they should know that they're a suspect, but that's probably when the police show up with the handcuffs to take them away.
Right.
Not early in the process. And the problem with a lot of doctors is they want to confront the suspect. They want to ask them, are you stealing from me? And that's a question that should never be asked.
Yeah. They're going to say no. They don't want to get caught.
Yeah, and then the sexual harassment suit or the complaint to the state board or whatever is going to follow fairly quickly.
Right.
The time to confront a suspect is when you can say to them, I know you were stealing from me. That's not in doubt. My question is, why did you do it?
And then slap the handcuffs on.
Slap the handcuffs on.
Yeah.
Wow.
That unfortunately, a lot of dentists don't know this, and their instinct is to confront or to go to that staff member and ask them to print off a whole bunch of reports that the doctor's never looked at before.
Yeah.
And then go in their private office, close the door, and phone their CPA.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody is stealing from you, they're looking at you every day saying, does she know?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they know they're stealing. They're trying to read your tea leaves.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult, but when you tip them off to the fact that you are suspicious, then the rules that normally govern civilized human behavior go right out the window, and these people will do anything, and I mean anything, not to go to jail. We weren't involved, but there was a case in Maryland a few years back where a staff member murdered her dentist over embezzlement.
I heard about that, yeah.
And the amount embezzled, in case I need to make this story worse, was $17,000.
Oh, man.
17,000?
that's what this dentist lost his life over.
Wow.
So, this is not something you can solve yourself. It's not the place for amateurs, whether they're amateur fraud investigators or dentists playing detective.
Right.
Wow. So what can a dentist do to to catch it, or to just be informed of the issues?
Well, here's another one of the myths that just won't die.
Uh-huh.
Most embezzlement is not found because of financial inconsistency. Most embezzlement is found by the way the thief is acting.
Interesting.
There are a lot of ways to steal from a dentist, hundreds in fact. What's consistent, though, is the way that thieves act.
Yeah.
For example, there's part of stealing that most people want to do when there's nobody else in the office. So the typical embezzler, and obviously there are exceptions to every rule, but the typical embezzler will come into the office early or stay late or come in on Saturdays, but they will do something so that they get some alone time.
Right.
They often are reluctant to take vacation. They don't get sick nearly as often as any other employee. They don't want outside advisors involved. They know they can fool their doctor. That's not hard. But when the doctor says, I'm thinking of hiring a consultant, that's when the hair on the back of an embezzler's neck stands up.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine.
Right. So they will come up with all kinds of good reasons why you don't need that consultant.
Interesting. Wow.
One that's a little more subtle is that often they will slowly replace the group of people who work with the practice with their own team.
I've seen that.
Really?
They'll go to the doctor and say, look, we're spending way too much on supplies, and we need to switch supply companies. And they will go from Shine to Patterson, or Patterson to Benco, or Benco to whoever, and they will convince the doctor to dump the supply company and bring in a new one. And I'm not suggesting that the new supply rep, who all of a sudden is making more income because of this relationship, is complicit somehow in embezzlement, but they're just a little bit less likely to question the office manager when the whole reason that they have this relationship with this office is because of that office manager.
Right.
So, the old saying about you don't look a gift horse in the bicuspids.
I'm going to start using that one. Well, that's kind of crazy. I know offices, a few that where the thief was, anytime there was some suspicion by anybody up front, she would fire them.
Yeah.
And she would hire her friends. Didn't let the doctor know that she was close friends with these people that had zero experience working in dentistry, but were in on the plan to steal money from this really, this $2.5 million booming practice. Could have been $3 million, but they took $500,000.
Oh my God.
And again, these people might not even be complicit, but they're just not likely to question the office manager and what she's doing.
Right.
Wow.
That's just
That's
so
insane.
That's so crazy. Like, what are the attitude or the behavior of the person?
Starts to change.
So you're saying it's rarely the numbers that would alert the doctors?
Most embezzlement is found by what I would broadly call dumbass luck. In other words, you set up these systems and you think they protect you against embezzlement.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't. And one of the biggest cases I ever worked on was revealed when the office manager broke her leg skiing on the weekend and wasn't in on Monday.
Wow.
And about 11 o'clock in the morning, the person who was now all of a sudden getting these calls from patients that the office manager would normally handle came into the doctor and said, there's something weird going on here because I've got 3 of these strange calls this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about inconsistencies with statements, but they were consistent inconsistencies, if you follow me.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like it was people who had paid in cash, but were looking at their statements, and the statement said they paid by credit card, something along those lines. And after 3 of these calls, the person taking them went into the doctor and said, I don't know what's going on here, but we're getting one of these calls I wouldn't consider too anomalous, but I got 3 this morning. And that's how it came out. So all the things that you put in place. One interesting statistic is that dentists, accountants, CPAs find less than 4% of the embezzlement that gets caught.
Wow.
So a lot of dentists think that my CPA is really on the front line of my defense against embezzlement, and they're not. And this is not because of any failing on the part of the CPAs. It's just that the information that they see in the course of their work is not likely to out most embezzlement.
Yeah, and it seems like, even like you mentioned before, that you try to find people that can get close to a criminal mind. It's most CPAs don't have that type of mindset, I would imagine.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but that's not the real problem. The problem is that most embezzlement is concealed by transactions in the practice management software. And to most CPAs, the practice management software is a big black box. And what comes out of it is kind of one line of numbers that I will put into QuickBooks.
Oh, I see.
And so what happens above that line is invisible to me, and therefore, I can't be aware of what happened. I mean, that's really what happens to the CPAs. And I'm a CPA myself. I feel a little bit compelled to defend the profession. It's not because of a failing there. It's simply that they are not paid for reviewing what happens in the practice management software. They simply take that as the output from the practice management software as their start point, and then work towards their end point, which is a P&L and information for the IRS and the bank.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So David, is there a way to prevent embezzlement in a practice?
Choose a different career.
That makes sense.
Prevention is a myth, and I see a lot of articles. A lot of consultants will write articles about embezzlement without necessarily understanding it, and the assumption that they make is that if we simply make it harder for somebody to steal, they won't. And it's a fallacious assumption, and it comes from really a misapplication of other crime situations. If you have an alarm system on your house, it's effective not because it prevents crime, but because it redirects it to your neighbors. Okay. Sorry, but it's true. No alarm system will turn a criminal into an honest person.
Yeah,
It is just not in my house. And what people want to do is they want the equivalent of the alarm system in the practice. They want to put the sticker on the front door that says "Embezzlers go away."
Yeah, but it doesn't work. Okay.
And the difference is it's a lot easier for a house burglar to switch victims than it is for an embezzler.
Oh, you know what? I talk to my wife about this all the time. She'll hear noises in the middle of the night, and she'll wake me up and say, "Hey, I think somebody's in the house." And I say, "Honey, trust me. If the criminals, I guarantee you, they've seen me. They would rather rob John's house next door because he's much smaller than me." I say, "Okay, good point." And goes back to bed.
Well, no competent burglar wants to rob an occupied house.
Oh yeah, or a guy that has a bunch of guns,
or find out the hard way that you're an NRA life member.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to find that out when they're breaking into somebody's house.
No, they do not. So, they're going to pick a house that's away, and the good news for them is that Facebook makes it so easy.
Oh yeah.
Right, because everybody posts. I'm so excited to be. I'm so excited to be going on my trip to Mexico.
Yeah,
which is like screaming, "Come rob my house!"
Yeah.
Nobody's home at my house.
That's so funny. That's so funny. People never know when we're out of town for that very reason. We keep telling our neighbors, like, "Are you? We're not gonna be. If we see somebody robbing your house, we'll call the cops, and that's it." but we're not going to put ourselves in harm's way. Quit making those stupid messages about your vacations,
Yeah.
Yeah, post them after you get
yeah,
home.
exactly.
Yeah.
So David, this is a really, really fun topic. What advice do you have for somebody, whether they're in any suspicion at all, or they do think that there might be some problems with embezzlement? What should they do? Should they contact you? Do you provide some type of analysis for practices?
We do. We do a couple of different levels of scrutiny. We kind of have what I think of as the light version of our audit that we do when somebody has suspicion, or even if they just say, I see the statistics and I just want to know that I don't have a problem. So we have a light package for that. We have a heavier package for somebody who's already caught the embezzler with their hand in a cookie jar.
Wow.
And we're also happy to work with an office to ensure that their practice systems are as tight as they can be. Again, not because that will prevent embezzlement, but there are certainly things somebody can do that will enhance the chance that if somebody is stealing, that the office will realize it.
Cool. And how do they go to get a hold of you if they want to run or retain you for any of these analyses?
They can call us, and our toll-free number is 888-398-2327, or they can go on our website, and there are lots of ways to contact us there. On our website, nobody forgets once they hear the name of it. It is www.dentalembezzlement.com.
That's easy to know.
Yeah, easy.
It's easy to remember, and they can also send an email to our emergency line if they have suspicions or concerns, and it is emergency@dentalembezzlement.com, and that email is monitored even after hours.
Awesome.
So our investigators take turns being on duty. So if somebody sends an email to that, unless it's the absolute middle of the night, they'll probably get a response in about 2 hours.
Awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
We will post all of that on the show notes. I love what it says here on your website. It's the last sentence here says, David says his favorite moment is hearing the noise of a prison cell door make when it clicks when it shuts on an embezzler. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. I like
that. That is my favorite sound.
How many embezzlers have you put away over the years?
I have no idea.
Too many to count. That's good.
Wow,
Yeah, we do hundreds of investigations a year. Not all of them result in a finding of embezzlement, and not all of those result in somebody going to jail. But
Yeah.
I suspect there's a fair proportion of the prison population that knows our name.
I'm quite certain.
Wow.
Yeah, you do an honorable work here. David, do you have any closing thoughts for our listeners?
No, but I will make your group a special offer if I could.
Yeah, would love it.
We sell something on our website called the Embezzlement Risk Assessment Questionnaire, and it's a questionnaire that focuses predominantly on staff behavior, which is the best bellwether of embezzlement. And it's 40 yes/no questions. It will take somebody about 15 minutes to complete, and at the end they get a score, and the score will give a pretty good indication of the probability that somebody's stealing from them. So we normally sell it on our website for $139, but what I'd suggest is that until the end of December, I will be happy to give any of your listeners that questionnaire at no cost. And
awesome.
All they need to do is send an email to our customer service line, which is requests@dentalembezzlement.com. and just mention that they heard the podcast and they would like the questionnaire.
Awesome.
Cool.
That sounds great.
Thank you so much. I was writing those down, requests@dentalembezzlement.com. I'm going to make this, highlight all of this on the show notes. So if you're on iTunes or SoundCloud or even on our sayno2ppos.com page, click on the show notes below for the email address. And I honestly recommend that every doctor take advantage of this opportunity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Simply because I hear it every month of a client or a friend of a client that is going through some type of embezzlement investigation or being a recipient of a sexual harassment complaint, which seems to be the current pattern these days. of
Yes.
office managers, especially against the male dentists. Last week, the dentist that was being accused was a female dentist, and she was being accused by other female dentists in the office, and she was already going through that fraud investigation that everybody knew about, and that seems to be the common underground reaction is let's
that's
try to
really
make their
interesting.
life hell. While they're defending themselves and spending thousands of dollars there, hopefully they'll lose some traction on this embezzlement claim. But David, thank you so much for what you do and for spending time with us on our podcast. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you share your wonderful knowledge with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. We wish you the best of
Right.
luck, and we will be in touch with many doctors to send your way because we hear it every day. So thank you again, David.
Perfect, guys.
Take care.